So, as you've probably noticed, the flea market is now locked behind level 10. That means you only get to use weapons from Traders level 1. And while running in with your knife is an option, I guess, I would recommend you use a gun. There are many options, every single one of them has its field of expertise if you so will. Some can even be modded with scopes, so let's have a look. And we start off with the infamous loud stick. The Mosin Nagant. You can buy this weapon at Prapor for around 40k rubles, just like the bullet you need for this gun, the LPS. And holy moly, is that one hell of a bullet. For such a cheap price, that thing deals 84 damage. That means if you hit the torso to an unprotected body, he's dead. If he wears protection, common protection, he's still dead. Only level 5 armor has a chance to stop the bullet. That's insane for a starting weapon. And if you kill a high gear player, you can still pick his whatever modded weapon. Furthermore, the range is also insane. If you can make out the target in the distance and you're able to hit it, you can kill it with one bullet. You don't need a magazine, so you can store the bullets just in your pocket, so no need for a rig there. But, of course there's a but, it's a bolt action, so you have to make your shot count. And also reloading takes a lot of time, so you can be pushed during this. Not ideal for close quarter fights, except for when you're really sure about your aim. Furthermore, the ADS time is really low on this gun, also the ergonomics. So you need some time before you're ready to shoot. Otherwise the bullet won't hit. The weapon is also pretty long, that makes it hard to use in tight spaces. Lastly, if scopes are important to you, you can't buy a scope for this weapon at level 1 traders. Prapor trades a Mosin sniper though with a scope, but it's rather unpractical in my opinion, and a 4x scope limits you to range fights. So if you encounter a close quarter fight with a 4x scope, yeah, you're dead. So when do you pick a Mosin? It's a beast against gear players at medium to long range. So if that's what you encounter most, the Mosin will show them who's boss. Next on the list we have the SKS. Can be bought at Prapor for around 23k rubles, just like the bullet, the PS ammo. And compared to the Mosin, that bullet is a step down, but it's still pretty decent. It penetrates level 3 armor right away and has a chance to penetrate level 4 armor. After a few hits, that armor is gone. The bullet itself deals a flash damage of 55. That means in order to kill a target, you need to penetrate the 4x twice. And that means if he is wearing a level 4 protection armor, you need to destroy that first. So that makes a couple of bullets. SKS has a built-in 10 rounds magazine and shoots those bullets in single fire. So basically as fast as you can click, and that's pretty fast. If you can handle the recoil, of course. So considering the rapid fire this weapon has at the penetration, you can hold your grounds in close quarter or if you get pushed pretty easy. But again, you have to make your shots count, since reloading takes way too long. Bullet can again be stored in your pocket, so you don't need a rig. Since the weapon is a lot smaller than the Mosin, it's way easier to use in tight spaces. The ADS time is also much better than with the loud stick. So when you have time to aim, you can drop some serious gear play with that thing. But same with the Mosin, you can't use a scope. Not even with the flea market unlocked, because the SKS can't mount a scope. Only the OP SKS can, but this is not available at Traders level 1. So when do you pick an SKS? The SKS basically trades a lower penetration value for a higher fire rate, bigger magazine capacity and better handling. So if the loud stick isn't your cup of tea but you still want the penetration value, then it's worth a shot. But what if you want a scope or a modded weapon in general? And that's where our next candidate comes in. It's a single fire weapon, the ADAR. And this baby has some serious benefits to offer. The weapon can be traded at Skier for one rechargeable battery, which is pretty easy to combine in stashes or just pick the weapon from a scav. And the bullets can be bought at Skier as well. The FMJ is arguably not the best bullet. It's only able to penetrate level 2 armor with a chance of penetrating level 3. So if you encounter a very gear player, it's better to aim for the legs or the head. But with the high fire rate, the easy recoil control and the scope and the bigger magazine, you will have a much easier time landing those headshots than with the SKS. The bigger magazines that you can buy at Peacekeeper also allow us to have a higher RPM in general, since we have more bullets available and a very fast reload. But if you want to use the 30 capacity magazines, you need a rig. I personally prefer the 20 capacity magazines. They're easy to store in the pockets. Those 10 bullets don't make a huge difference since you can reload so fast. So with 20 bullets we can confidentially take on an enemy, even if you miss a couple of bullets. And again, if he's not dead after a full magazine, just quickly reload and continue the fight. So you're practically not vulnerable at all when reloading, as you would, for example, with the SKS or the Mosin. With the ADAR, your gun is up and ready again in a few seconds. Furthermore, the weapon can be modded with a scope, as already mentioned. And as I know how many of you like scopes, myself included, the ability to mount a scope makes this gun so much better. The best part about it, it's not that expensive. So in order to mount a scope, you first need to buy the Burris Fast Fire Weaver base. And on top of that comes the Burris Fast Fire Reflex Sight. Both are bought at Peacekeeper. When you mount them, you will notice that you have this front sight that kind of blocks the vision. So you have to remove that, but that makes the weapon not functional anymore. So you have to go back to mechanic and buy the MK12. And as soon as you install that, you have a fully functional ADAR with a scope. I mean, come on, how nice is that with Traders LVL? But in the case that you want to use the iron sight, Peacekeeper also sells the rear iron sight mod that you need for that. So if that's your preferred sight, you can also just mount it back and use it with iron sight. So in summary, it's moddable, Traders LVL. You don't need a rig for this weapon, even with magazines. You have a pretty high fire rate combined with the magazines that makes a lot of bullets that you can dish out in a very short amount of time. That's devastating against a lot of players or scavs. But it struggles against good armor and it needs to be traded. What I like about this weapon is that you can really quickly drop a lot of scavs, fight PMCs close quarter, long range, whatever. It's a very versatile weapon. All of that with the luxury of a scope. But what if you want a modded weapon, but the single fire is just not your thing? You want a full auto one. May I introduce the AKM? It can be traded at Brapor for 3 cans of beef stew, also known as Tushanka. There again, pretty easy to find in raids. You shouldn't have problems to trade it. The gun uses the same ammo as the SKS, the 7.239 PS ammo. So again, it easily penetrates level 3, has a chance to penetrate level 4, and destroys level 4 pretty rapidly. So a decent starting ammo, especially with full auto. But here is our first problem, because you can buy magazines, yes, but they only have a capacity of 10. And with a full auto weapon, a magazine capacity of 10? And that's really questionable. Especially, it could leave you vulnerable. If you get pushed and only have 10 bullets, yeah, that could end like you having to use your knife or whatever. The only big magazine you get is from the weapon itself after you've traded it. So you get one big magazine and as many 10 capacity magazines as you want. And you need a rig for those because they take 2 slots. So what I did to kind of solve the problem was I had one big magazine and some smaller ones that are just there as backup. Whenever I had a quiet moment, I reloaded the 30 capacity magazine. I did that manually. I know it's not the best option, but it's what you have to do if you want to use this weapon. To my knowledge, there is no other magazine. You really need those 30 bullets in your magazine in case you get pushed close quarter. And in terms of modding, it's the same as before. The only difference, you need the M1B from Skier, and then again the Fast Fire Weaver base and the Fast Fire Reflex Sight from Peacekeeper. You replace the gas tube, mount the scope on top of it, and you're done. You have an AKM with a scope. Another very important thing with this weapon, make sure you are in full auto when you start a raid. Otherwise, this could happen to you as well. Oh, this guy was about to push me and I thought, oh man, I got 30 bullets right here for you. Give me your gear. But I forgot that the gun was in single fire. The recoil on this gun is also pretty heavy. And apart from replacing the stock, you can't do anything to lower it further. The stock doesn't really help with it either. In my opinion, with the AKM, full auto is pretty cool at close quarter, but as far as you are 4 meters away, you're gonna miss a lot of those 30 bullets. So single fire is probably better in that case. So in quick summary, you get better penetration again and full auto, the price of a high recoil, small magazines and the need for a rig. But basically, if you can handle the recoil, this weapon can be very strong because the bullets are pretty heavy hitting, and if you can manage the recoil and land those bullets in full auto, that's a lot of damage. Last but not least, we have the close quarter beast. Ah, that rhymes. You can either buy the small version, the MP5KN, for $185, which are approximately 22k rubles. Or you can trade the MP5, the big one, for 8 knives, which every scavs carries around. The main difference, the big one has much lower recoil. 2 different magazines you can buy, and you can both use them on both guns. But again, the small magazines fit in your pocket, so you don't need a rig for those. The bullet itself can be bought at Prapor, the GZH, and that bullet is really nothing against armor. But the damage is decent, so try hitting the head, legs, arms, and so on, if there be protection. On the other hand, the fire rate is impressive for that price. Well, on a map like Factory, that's really where the weapon shines. Sadly, you can't mount a scope, to my knowledge, but hip fire is just as well with this gun, if you really hate the iron sight, because the hip fire is very accurate. So, quick summary, you get a high fire rate, big magazines, low recoil, but you have to trade the big one. Bullets don't perform good at all against armor, and it's not moddable. But again, in close quarter, that thing is an absolute beast. And that's it. Those are the weapons that I think are a very good choice at the beginning, that I played with at the beginning. As I said, every weapon has its field of expertise, so find out which one fits your playstyle. And I still today use the Mosin with level 30 or something. With the others, I use the AK-47N and the ADAR with a modded version, since I now have the flea market unlocked. If you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll show you budget presets or more spicy ones. Alright, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Tell me in the comment section how it went for you, or if you have feedback. And if you like this kind of video, subscribe. There are a lot more on the channel, of course. And see you all in the next one. Good luck in your next raids. Bye bye.